When you start realizing that so much of what bothers you comes from things completely out of your control, something shifts. Think about it. Every single day, there are people around you making choices, saying words, showing attitudes, and none of that belongs to you. Yet we carry it, we stress over it, and we let it dictate our mood. The first behavior that makes you truly unbothered is learning to control the controllables and release everything else. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're wise enough to know where your energy actually makes a difference. If someone cuts you off in traffic, you can't control that. You can't jump into their car and fix their driving. You can't make them polite. You can't force them to change. The only thing in your hands is whether you slam the horn, carry that anger all the way home, and ruin your evening, or whether you take a deep breath and keep moving. That's control of the controllables. The temptation is to keep our attention wrapped around what people should have done, what they could have said differently, how they should have acted, but the truth is they didn't, and you can't change that. What you can change is your response. That's the difference between living constantly irritated or walking through life calm and steady. Think about relationships. You can't control how someone treats you, but you can control whether you stay, whether you set boundaries, or whether you adjust your expectations. The stress comes when we blur that line and try to control what was never ours to begin with. You start thinking, if I say the right thing, if I do it perfectly, if I prove myself enough, then maybe they'll behave differently. That's wasted energy. You can't manage another adult's actions. You can only manage your own choices, and that's where the freedom comes from. When you own what's yours and release what's not, you stop getting hooked by every little thing. People will still gossip, they'll still criticize, they'll still make decisions you don't like, but suddenly you're not carrying it anymore. You're not waking up at 2 a.m. replaying the argument in your head because you've trained yourself to separate it. That's their choice. This is my choice. That's their behavior. This is my behavior. And you start to see how much calmer your life becomes when you stop reaching into places you don't control. Even at work, you can't control the boss's mood or the coworker who complains about everything. You can't force the company to change policies overnight, but you can control how you show up, the effort you put in, the attitude you carry, the way you take care of yourself after hours. That's power. Most people think power is about controlling others. Real power is about self-control. It's about saying, I don't need everything outside of me to line up perfectly in order for me to feel steady inside. It takes practice because your mind is always going to want to latch on to things outside your control. It will want to replay conversations, predict outcomes, and obsess over other people's choices. That's natural. But when you catch it, when you tell yourself this part isn't mine, my job is only here, you start rewiring the way you think. Slowly, you build a habit of focusing only where your effort matters. That's how you keep your energy from being drained by things you were never meant to carry. And when people try to get a reaction out of you, when they push your buttons, when they bring drama, suddenly it doesn't work anymore. Not because you're numb, but because you're clear. You know what belongs to you and what doesn't. You control the controllables, and everything else is background noise. That's how you start becoming unbothered in a world that's always trying to get under your skin. Respond, don't react. That's one of the most powerful behaviors you can ever learn if you want to be unbothered, because the truth is, most of us are running on autopilot. Someone says something offensive, we snap back. Someone gives us attitude, we match it with attitude. Someone pushes us, we push harder. That's reacting. It's instant, it's emotional, and it always leaves us feeling like we gave away our control. Responding, on the other hand, is intentional. It means you pause, you process, and then you decide what to do. And in that pause, that's where your power lives. When you react, you're letting the other person's behavior dictate your next move. You're basically saying, you control my emotions, you control my tone, you control my peace. And that's exactly why you end up so frustrated afterwards. Because deep down, you know you didn't choose it, you just let the moment pull you in. But when you respond, you flip the script. You tell yourself, I'll choose how I handle this, not them. That's why people who respond instead of react always look calmer, always seem harder to shake, because they're not handing over the steering wheel of their emotions. Think about the last time you reacted quickly out of anger. Maybe someone insulted you, maybe a coworker said something that rubbed you the wrong way, maybe your partner made a comment that cut deep. You fired back, you said something sharp, and for a second you felt justified. But later, when the heat died down, you probably thought, I shouldn't have said that. I wish I'd handled that differently. That's the cost of reacting. It feels good in the moment, but it rarely serves you in the long run. Responding, though, often doesn't give you that quick rush, but it pays off later because you walk away knowing you stayed in control. Responding doesn't mean staying quiet all the time or pretending you're unaffected. It means you decide what tone, what words, what timing is best for you. Sometimes that's saying nothing at all. Sometimes that's calmly setting a boundary. Sometimes it's choosing humor instead of hostility. But the key is that it's yours. You're not just bouncing off their energy like a ping pong ball, you're grounded in your own. That's what makes you unbothered, because now no one can pull you into their chaos without your permission. Or it's easy to say just respond, don't react, but it takes practice to live it. It starts with awareness. You notice that moment when your body tenses, when your heart rate spikes, when your mind starts racing. That's usually the trigger that you're about to react. And instead of letting it spill out, you take a breath. Sometimes just a single second is enough. That 1 second between stimulus and response is where you build your strength. It doesn't sound like much, but it can change everything about how you handle people and situations. Over time, you realize that responding gives you more options. Reacting usually has one direction, it's all or nothing, it's immediate and heated. Responding gives you choices. You can decide if this is even worth your energy. You can decide if silence will say more than words. You can decide if calm firmness will get you further than anger. And those decisions are what shape your reputation, your relationships, and your peace of mind. People stop seeing you as easy to provoke because no matter what they throw at you, you're not taking the bait. And here's the thing, when you train yourself to respond instead of react, you don't just protect your peace, you also end up influencing people around you because your calmness becomes disarming. When someone comes at you expecting a fight and they don't get it, they lose their grip. Your steady energy forces them to either back down or rethink their approach. That's how responding not only keeps you unbothered, but also shifts the entire atmosphere of your interactions. It's strength without shouting, power without force, and confidence without chaos. Family issues are one of the most delicate parts of life, and intelligent people understand that these matters should never be shared openly with others. Every family has its own challenges, disagreements, and private struggles, but making those details public often creates more harm than healing. Talking about family problems outside of the home can bring judgment, gossip, and unnecessary opinions from people who don't fully understand the situation. It also risks damaging the respect and trust between family members when they find out their private matters have been shared. When you reveal family conflicts to others, it changes how people view your family and how they interact with them. A single comment about a fight or a mistake can shape someone's perception forever, even if the issue is resolved later. Intelligent people recognize that sharing these details invites outsiders to form opinions about their parents, siblings, or relatives that may not be fair or accurate. Protecting the dignity of your family means keeping those issues within the circle where they belong and not letting them become public entertainment for others. There is also a sense of loyalty involved. Families, regardless of imperfections, form the foundation of who we are. Talking negatively about them to others can feel like betrayal, especially if those details are repeated or twisted. Intelligent individuals avoid this trap by handling problems privately, addressing them directly with the people involved rather than seeking validation from outsiders. This doesn't mean they never seek guidance, but when they do, it is with someone they deeply trust, like a mentor or counselor, who can provide real help without spreading the matter further. Another danger in sharing family issues is that not everyone who listens is supportive. Some people might use that information against you. They might gossip about your family, criticize you for circumstances outside your control, or even exploit the weakness they see in your home life. Intelligent people understand that exposing family struggles can become a weapon in the wrong hands, so they choose to remain discreet and protect what matters most. Keeping family issues private also strengthens resilience. When you don't constantly talk about the struggles at home, you learn to face them with maturity and patience. You stop seeking pity from others and instead build the skills to resolve conflict, manage emotions, and grow stronger within the family unit. Intelligent people know that true growth often comes from addressing problems head-on without dragging the whole world into it. Silence in these situations is not weakness, it is wisdom and strength. Personal weaknesses are something every individual carries, but intelligent people know they should never openly share them with others. Being vulnerable can be powerful in the right context, but exposing weaknesses without thought or trust can invite unnecessary judgment, criticism, or even exploitation. When people know where you struggle the most, they may not always use that knowledge to support you. Some will use it as leverage to undermine you. Intelligent individuals protect themselves by keeping those areas of struggle private and only sharing them with people who have earned deep trust. One of the reasons this is important is because not everyone who listens has good intentions. Some people are quietly looking for ways to gain an advantage, and when they see your weak spots, they may use them to control you or make you feel small. Something you revealed in honesty could later become the very thing thrown back at you in an argument or used to discredit you. Intelligent people avoid that by choosing carefully who, if anyone, gets to know those hidden struggles. Another reason for silence is that weaknesses are often temporary. What feels like a limitation today may be something you are actively working on improving. If you reveal it too early, people may lock you into that image forever. They might never see your growth or progress because their minds are stuck on the weakness you admitted. Intelligent people understand that timing matters, and they reveal only what aligns with the person they are becoming, not what holds them back in the moment. Keeping weaknesses private also preserves confidence. When you carry yourself with assurance, people tend to respect and trust you more. But if you openly display every area of struggle, others might start questioning your abilities, even in places where you are strong. Intelligent people understand that confidence is not about pretending to be perfect. It is about protecting the balance between authenticity and self-respect. They can acknowledge to themselves that they have weaknesses, but they don't broadcast them in ways that diminish their credibility. There is also the matter of dignity. Everyone deserves to be seen in their best light, and part of that comes from controlling how much of yourself you reveal to the world. Intelligent people value their dignity enough to keep personal struggles from becoming casual conversation. They work on those areas privately, build strength quietly, and when they show progress, it is a reflection of resilience rather than weakness. In doing so, they set an example of handling imperfections with grace and wisdom. Private life experiences are something intelligent people guard carefully, because not every story is meant for public ears. Everyone has gone through moments that shaped them, whether it was pain, failure, regret, or even moments of triumph that are deeply personal. But intelligent individuals understand that sharing every detail of their private life with others can quickly shift from being honest to being vulnerable in ways that may later be used against them. Some experiences are meant to be lessons carried within, shaping character quietly without the need for outside validation. When you share too much about your personal life, you risk handing over control of your narrative to others. People may interpret your experiences through their own bias, twist the meaning, or spread it to others who were never meant to know. That story you shared in trust can easily turn into gossip, stripped of context and repurposed for entertainment. Intelligent people understand that once something leaves their lips, they no longer control where it goes, so they keep their private life guarded, choosing carefully what to reveal and what to hold back. Another reason for keeping private life experiences hidden is protection of emotional peace. Reopening personal memories, especially painful ones, can invite questions and comments that don't always help. People may judge, pity, or even criticize you for decisions you made during vulnerable times. Instead of feeling supported, you may walk away feeling exposed. Intelligent people preserve their emotional well-being by choosing silence over unnecessary explanations. They know that healing often happens in quiet reflection, not in the noise of public discussion. There is also a layer of respect involved. When you share intimate details of your life too freely, you may unintentionally lower how others view you. Not because your experiences are shameful, but because people don't always carry the maturity to handle sensitive information with care. Some may look at you differently, not as who you are now, but as the person you were in that difficult chapter. Intelligent people want to be known for the strength and growth they show today, not for every detail of what they once went through. Keeping private experiences to yourself also allows you to own your growth fully. When you learn a lesson from something personal, you don't always need applause or acknowledgement from others. The lesson becomes part of who you are, shaping your perspective and actions. Intelligent individuals know that quiet growth is sometimes the most powerful because no one can question it, distort it, or take it away. By protecting their stories, they protect their evolution and allow their actions to speak louder than their past. Long-term goals are one of the most valuable things an intelligent person keeps to themselves because they understand the power of quiet progress. Talking too much about where you are headed can often create unnecessary pressure, and sometimes it can even drain the motivation that fueled the goal in the first place. When you reveal your vision too early, people begin to watch, to measure, and to expect, and suddenly the journey feels heavier than it should. Intelligent people avoid that weight by keeping their long-term goals protected until the right time. Another reason they remain silent is because not everyone who hears your goals will believe in them. Some will project their own limitations onto you, discouraging you not because you cannot achieve it, but because they never could. Others might ridicule the ambition, making you doubt yourself before you have even started. Intelligent individuals don't allow the negativity of others to pollute the clarity of their vision. They choose to move quietly, building momentum in silence, and proving themselves through results rather than explanations. There is also a sense of freedom in keeping goals private. When no one else knows your timeline, your milestones, or your strategies, you are free to adjust and pivot without the fear of judgment. If you change direction or pause for a while, there is no audience questioning your choices or assuming failure. Intelligent people give themselves that freedom by keeping their goals close, knowing that progress is not always a straight line, and flexibility is key to success. Protecting long-term goals also shields them from imitation. When you speak too soon, others might take your idea, copy it, or even try to get ahead of you using the vision you worked so hard to create. Silence keeps the originality intact and the path secure. Intelligent people understand that timing is everything, and they reveal their goals only when the foundation is strong enough to handle exposure. Until then, they trust in the process and let their dedication speak louder than any early announcement.